I wasn't planning to stop in Cedar Ridge. My road trip was meant to take me across state lines, Las Vegas to Chicago, fast and straightforward. But halfway across New Mexico, my car died. Completely. No sputter, no warning, just silence. I was miles from the nearest town. GPS showed no service. The desert stretched empty around me. Then I saw it. An old radio tower silhouette against the dusk sky. And just beyond, on a dirt side road, a small building. It looked like a radio shack. Maybe someone there could give me a jump or at least a phone. I walked toward it. The wind kicked up fine red dust. The building's sign read Cedar Ridge Radio. The windows were dusty, curtains torn. Inside, the air was stale. Cords hung from the ceiling. Old broadcasting equipment covered in dust. A single microphone stood at a small desk under a bare bulb. No one around. I called out. My voice echoed too sharply in the empty room. Then I saw it. A voice recorder on the desk, its red light blinking. It was recording. Why? Then the radio crackled behind me. Static buzzing. I spun. Through the crackle, a voice whispered, my name. Michael. Michael. I froze. I hadn't told anyone I was crossing through here. How could it know? The static died. The microphone's red light remained. I walked over and pressed stop. But the recorder didn't stop. The red light stayed blinking. I hit pause. It ignored me. I turned toward the equipment. The radio dials spun by themselves. The broadcast screen flashed. WXCR 107.5. That station was defunct. It had been off the air for over 10 years. A chill crawled up my spine. I unplugged cables, hit power switches. Nothing changed. Then the door creaked behind me. I turned. Someone was in the hallway. A woman. Pale, with dark hair and hollow eyes. She didn't speak. She just stood there, watching. I swallowed hard. Hello? No answer. I took a step. Her face flickered. She vanished. The red light on the recorder stuttered. The radio crackled. Then, behind me, a whisper. Don't leave the signal. I spun around. Room empty. But the voice remained in the air. I grabbed my bag and ran out the door. The night sky had changed. The stars were gone. Above, the radio tower loomed, its lights blinking erratically. As I reached my car, the radio inside turned on by itself. Static, then faint music. Old, scratchy from decades ago. And a voice behind it. Welcome to Cedar Ridge. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. The motel I found down the highway felt wrong the moment I stepped in. Too quiet. Too empty. The clerk barely looked up when I paid for the room. She just slid the key across the counter and said, "Don't turn the radio on after midnight." I laughed a little. She didn't. I took the key, went to my room, and locked the door behind me. The window faced the desert. Nothing but dark sand and the red blink of that same radio tower miles away. I lay on the bed, fully clothed, listening to the hum of the old air conditioner. I told myself it was all just stress. Car trouble, heat stroke, a weird old town. That's it. But then I noticed something. There was a radio on the nightstand, an old one, 1960s style, wood paneled, with a tuning dial and cracked speaker cloth. The power cord was unplugged. Still, it hummed softly. I stared at it. The hum grew louder. Then, click. The dial moved on its own. Static filled the room. My pulse spiked. I jumped up, yanked the plug from the wall even though it wasn't connected. The radio kept playing. Through the static, I heard that same voice. Low, calm, familiar. "Michael," it said. "You left the signal." I stumbled back. "Who are you?" No answer, just a faint chuckle. Then a woman's voice cut in. Not the same one from before. Different, softer, sad. "Don't answer him. He's not real anymore." I froze. The two voices overlapped, tangled in the static, like dueling broadcasts fighting for control. The man's voice grew sharper, louder. "Come back to the tower, Michael. We're losing you." The woman whispered over him. "Don't listen. Once you return, you don't come back." The static peaked. The bulb above me flickered, then went dark. I grabbed my phone for light. It was 12:03 a.m., and I hadn't even turned the radio on. When the lights came back, the room looked older. Dust on the furniture that hadn't been there before. Wallpaper yellowed and curling. The air smelled like smoke and ozone. And the radio was gone. I ran outside, heart hammering, toward the front office. No clerk, no sound. Only the faint hum from somewhere behind the motel. I followed it. Behind the building, there was an old shed. Half collapsed, roof rusted through. The hum came from inside. I pushed the door open. Inside was a transmitter. A real one. Rusted, covered in cobwebs, with tubes that still glowed faint orange. And next to it, a chair. Someone was sitting in it. A woman. Head tilted forward, long hair covering her face. She wasn't moving. I called out, no response. When I got closer, I realized the transmitter was still on. A small microphone sat in front of her. Its red light blinked in rhythm with my heartbeat. And the speaker above whispered, faint but clear. "Broadcast live from Cedar Ridge. We are still here." The woman twitched. Her head lifted slightly. Her skin looked gray, paper thin. Her lips cracked as she whispered, "They won't let me stop." Then she looked up. Her eyes were hollow, pitch black. I stumbled back, tripping over a cable. The transmitter hissed louder, filling the shed with static and distorted voices. Dozens of them. Men, women, children. All talking at once. Then, through the chaos, the man's voice again. Calm, cold, commanding. "Back to the tower, Michael. Bring the signal home." I turned and ran. The desert wind hit me like ice. But when I looked up, I realized something that made my blood run cold. The tower wasn't miles away anymore. It was right there, just behind the motel, closer than it should have been. Its red lights blinked like eyes, slow and deliberate. And over the wind, faint and steady, I could still hear my name being whispered from the static. Over and over. "Michael, Michael, Michael." I didn't sleep. I just sat in my car, shaking, waiting for sunrise that never really came. Because when the light finally hit the horizon, it didn't look like morning. It looked like the kind of light you see when a storm is coming. Gray, heavy, unnatural. And on my car radio screen, even though it was off, 5 words flickered faintly. You are now the broadcast. I left Cedar Ridge at dawn, or at least I tried to. The desert highway was empty, endless. I kept driving east, past the cracked asphalt, the dead trees, the dry wind that burned my eyes. But the radio tower wouldn't leave my rearview mirror. No matter how far I drove, it was still there, standing against the horizon, blinking red. Always the same distance away. By noon, I'd passed 3 road signs that all said the same thing. Welcome to Cedar Ridge. Population 87. The same sign, over and over again. I should have been miles out of New Mexico by now. But the desert never changed. And then my car's radio, which had been off, clicked on by itself. Static filled the cabin. Then the voice came again. Calm, confident, like a late-night DJ who never stopped broadcasting. Welcome back, Michael. I slammed the power button. Didn't work. Don't fight it, the voice said. You've been chosen to continue the signal. What do you want from me? I yelled. The voice chuckled softly. To tell the truth. What truth? The one buried in static. Then the signal dropped. Just dead air. I pulled the car over, heart pounding. The desert was silent. Too silent. No wind, no insects. Then my phone buzzed. No number. Just a notification. Live signal. Recording. I stared at it. The microphone icon glowed red. My phone had started broadcasting by itself. I threw it onto the passenger seat. Stop recording! I shouted. It didn't stop. The air shifted. The desert seemed closer. The sand rippled like something was moving beneath it. I pressed my foot on the gas, desperate to get out. The car roared forward, and then everything went black. No sky, no road, just static. When my vision cleared, I wasn't on the highway anymore. I was parked right outside the radio shack again. Cedar Ridge Radio. Same dusty sign. Same broken windows. The tower loomed behind it, humming faintly like it was breathing. I wanted to scream, but all that came out was a whisper. The air felt thick, electric. The ground vibrated beneath my feet as I stepped out. Inside, the studio looked cleaner now. The dust was gone. The lights worked. And there was someone sitting at the microphone. A man in a suit. Headphones on. Calm, professional smile. He looked up when I entered. Good to have you back, Michael. I froze. How do you know my name? He motioned to the chair opposite him. It's been a long night for you. Sit. We're live. I didn't move. He chuckled, leaned into the mic, and said, Listeners, it seems our guest is shy tonight. That's all right. He's been traveling a long way to find us. Through the glass, I could see the on-air light glowing red. I took a step closer. What is this place? He smiled. This is the edge of the signal. Everyone ends up here eventually. What do you mean? He nodded toward the recorder. Once you hear it, it hears you. You're part of it now. He adjusted his mic and gestured toward me again. Your turn. I shook my head. I'm not doing this. His smile faded. Michael, you already are. I looked down. The red light on the microphone was blinking. I hadn't touched it. I wasn't speaking, but my voice was coming through the speakers, echoing, delayed, repeating everything I'd said since I entered. My own voice, layered, distorted, looping back through the static. The man stood up slowly. You can't run from the signal. It finds its frequency through fear. The walls began to vibrate. Paper flew off the desk. The tower outside roared with a low hum that made my bones ache. I tried to run for the door, but it was gone. Just a wall of static. White noise filled my ears, building and building until I couldn't think. Then, silence. When I opened my eyes, I was sitting in the chair, headphones on, microphone in front of me. The man was gone, but his voice still came through the headset. Now it's your turn to broadcast, Michael. Keep the signal alive. The red light blinked steadily. I reached out and tried to turn it off. It wouldn't budge. Then a faint whisper came through. Hundreds of voices, whispering the same line in unison. Don't stop the broadcast. I felt something cold touch my shoulder. When I turned, I saw dozens of faces reflected in the glass. Pale, empty eyes, flickering like ghosts caught between channels. They were all watching me, waiting. Then, as if obeying some invisible cue, they all smiled. The microphone hissed softly, and in the distance, the tower's red light blinked one last time, before going dark. I don't know how long I sat there. Hours, days. Time didn't feel real anymore inside that studio. The only light came from the red on-air sign. It never went off. Every time I blinked, I heard whispers through the static, voices overlapping, fading in and out. Some were crying, some were laughing. All of them were saying the same thing. Keep talking. So I did. I don't even remember what I said. Maybe I talked about the highway, the storm, the way the stars disappeared. Maybe I begged someone to hear me, but every word I spoke echoed back, slightly distorted. Like the signal didn't just repeat my voice, it was changing it, turning me into something else. At some point, I stood up and looked through the studio window. The town of Cedar Ridge wasn't there anymore, just sand, a flat, empty wasteland. The tower stood alone, humming quietly in the wind. Its red lights blinked in rhythm, slow, steady, like a heartbeat. And then I saw movement beneath it. Dozens of figures, walking in circles around the base of the tower. They weren't alive. Their bodies twitched, their movements mechanical, like puppets caught in invisible strings. Each one had a headset on. Each one was whispering into nothing. I pressed my hand against the glass. My reflection looked back, pale, hollow-eyed, with static flickering faintly across my skin. My lips were moving even though I wasn't speaking. And then I realized I could hear myself from outside. My voice was coming through the tower speakers. I was already broadcasting. The next thing I remember, I was standing in the desert. No idea how I got there. The radio tower loomed over me, wires humming like insects. I could see faces in the metal, faint impressions pushing through the rusted surface. Eyes, mouths, silent screams. I turned and saw the horizon split with light. Headlights. A car. Someone was coming down the old dirt road. The first human I'd seen in what felt like forever. I ran toward it, waving, shouting, "Stop! Don't come near the tower!" The car slowed. Through the windshield, I saw a man staring back at me, terrified. Then I froze. It was me. The same face. Same clothes. He looked at me with horror, as if he was seeing a ghost. I tried to speak, but no sound came out. Static poured from my mouth instead. He slammed the brakes, reversed, and drove off into the dark. The moment he vanished, the ground shook. The tower roared like a living thing. The air shimmered, and suddenly I was back inside the studio again. Same chair, same microphone, same blinking red light. I don't know if I'm still human. The longer I sit here, the less I remember who I was. Sometimes I hear other voices on the broadcast. Travelers, wanderers, people lost on empty highways. They call out for help. They never realize they've tuned in too late. The signal finds them. It always does. And when it does, they join us. One by one. The signal feeds on fear, on sound, on memory. It doesn't die. It just passes from one voice to another. Maybe that's why it found me. Maybe that's why it's finding you now. Because if you've been listening, really listening, then it already knows your name. You might even hear it tonight. That faint crackle when you turn off your radio. The whisper behind your favorite song. The static just before you fall asleep. It's calling you. And when you hear your name in the noise, don't answer. Don't turn toward the sound. Just remember what I couldn't. Once you hear the signal, you become the signal. End of transmission. WXCR 107.5. Cedar Ridge Radio. Signing off.